Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting of the school committee to order. It is Thursday, April 3rd. This meeting is being recorded by WCTV, audio recorded by the birthday girl of the evening, Jamie Wixton, who would like to celebrate as soon as possible tonight, so let's all keep that in mind during the meeting. So we will, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda is public participation. Is there anyone that wishes to address the committee tonight? All right, seeing no one, we'll move on to good news. Who would like to share some good news in the district? Joyce.
So the first thing I want to say is thank you to the superintendent and to Kristen Flynn for their presentation at the Finance Committee the other night. I thought that went really well. Thank you to the Finance Committee for their attention and good questions and support. The town administrator was there also, always offering his support. So thank you for that. I was really happy to attend the career panel at the middle school last week. It was so well put on. Thank you to all the people who came out to sit on that panel. But my favorite part was the panel of students in the front that were asking the questions. They were so well prepared. They asked such good questions. It was really great. And I look forward to being at the Providence Bruins game tomorrow night to hear the chorus sing, the middle school chorus sing at the game. And then, last but not least, you all know my favorite, Unified Track had their first meet yesterday. But what was really great yesterday, there's so many great things about it, but there was so much support. There's a much bigger team this year. The support, there were community members, there were kids with signs, people walked over from the high school. The girls and boys track team is there to support the kids. It was just a really great event all around. So there's a couple more home meets coming up, so of course I encourage everyone to get there. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Joyce. Anybody else? Brennan.
I don't want to steal any of Emma's thunder, but I remember seeing that the Wareham High School Drama Club has advanced in competition. They made it to the semifinals, or I think it was the semifinals, but for the Wareham High School Theater, for the Massachusetts High School Theater Guild, and being a former drama club member, I'm very happy to see them going on and seeing that tradition continue. So, good for them.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have the student representative report. Emma?
Thank you. So as we know, spring sports are kind of in full effect right now, and a lot of students are excited to be playing. I said it last time, but you see lots of kids walking around with their sports gear, and everyone's just enjoying the season. I'll have the scores for you guys next time. I think mine are a little outdated here, but MCAS testing has also begun for the younger grades. That's going to be pretty much going through the end of the year now, so lots of change schedules. That'll be fun. And last week, the American Government and JROTC classes took a field trip to the State House. They were given a tour, and they had a chance to ask Senator Kelly Dooner and John Gasky some questions. So that was a great opportunity. I think a lot of kids had the chance to go on that one. And DECA's 45th annual dinner and auction was a huge success recently. Students had the chance to try their hand at auctioneering. They got pulled up by the auctioneer, which was really cool to see. And the community was excited to attend. There was a great turnout, and DECA it was a huge success for them, so they're very excited. I also have a poem here from the student Sabrina Bell. She's from the Poetry Club, and the advisor, Miss Texera, is here. The Viking Times is collaborating with the Poetry Club to have this poem in our next edition. So I was just going to read it for you guys. It's titled Another Home. I know when I am home, when I am traveling on the highway for 4 hours, I see tree leaves turn from a cool green to a warm yellow green. Deer just beyond the guardrail, under the cool shade of an oak tree, I lay in a blanket of ticklish, lush grass, the pollen causing a rash to form upon my skin. Watching the waves hit the fort from Popham's towers, the smell of the ocean enveloping my senses. Rocky hills covered in grass scattered about the land, but when I open my eyes, I'm back in my room, dreaming of my home that I long for. Soon I will go, but for now, I will wait till I am home once more. And that is the poem. I thought that was great, and I'm very excited that the newspaper club's able to collaborate with them. So thank you guys for that.
You're welcome.
And that's all I have, so thanks, guys.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you.
No, thank you. That was great. I'm just here. Do you guys have any questions about Poetry Club? If not, I'll go back.
How many students do you have involved in it right now?
We have about 10 students who meet regularly each week. There's like 20 in the group total, but 10's like our base that we see every Wednesday. So it's exciting.
This might be jumping the gun because I know it's relatively new, but are we expecting that maybe at the end of the year to have like a poetry book or something like that? Like a collection of poems?
That would be great. We're hoping, we're like kind of still thinking about some things to put together for that. It might be a little bit like unofficial, maybe just a few poems we've done over the year that we'll see if we can print. But that's definitely an idea we would love to do. And
Why couldn't we print them? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay, hey, I'm open. That sounds fantastic. Kids have been writing every week, so it's been great.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see, students work for the year. I know it's not, for a grade or anything, but it'd be, I know that, for college applications, saying that you had your poem published in the student works thing,
Yes, yeah,
lends some weight to it. So, all you writers out there, keep writing.
absolutely.
Jeff?
So I know zip about poetry, except I enjoy hearing it. How do you, as the advisor, challenge these writers?
A lot of times it's kind of pushing them to consider how they're portraying an idea. A lot of times it's a matter of word choice. So I try to look out for things like, oh, is there maybe a cliche they're using? It's like, what's a more creative way we could say this? Or, could you use maybe more literary devices? A lot of them have me for English class. So they're like, okay, we get it, literary devices. But this idea of like, okay, if you're describing something, how could we maybe add more imagery? Or is there an interesting simile we could use here to like create some comparisons between something you wouldn't normally compare it to? So with that poem actually that Emma just read from Sabrina, there was, I think it was the part with the itchiness of the pollen. She had so much great imagery, but I was like, hey, you have everything except like touch or texture. I was like, how can you add something? And that's where she came up with that line. So it's kind of just asking them follow-up questions after they present their work.
That's really good. I applaud the work you're doing as
Thank
an
you.
advisor, and I'd love to hear more of it.
Thank you. We'd love to share it. Thanks for having us. And thank you, Emma, for reading it.
Thank you, guys.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the report back from the trip our students took to the Marine Biological Laboratory at Woods Hole, I believe.
I have a couple more students coming, and I told them that we might not be on till 7.
Do you want to wait and see if they come? We can put some principals ahead of you if you want.
Is that okay? with you? Okay, yeah, we'll wait, because I
Okay.
think they are coming. Yeah.
All right,
Thank
no
you.
problem. So that means we'll jump to the principal reports. You just made their evening. So- Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Tracy? Okay, thank you.
I have Dr. Chandler's report as well, so we'll start with Dr. Chandler for Wes. She has attendance at 94% for students. Curriculum grade 3 ELA MCAS was held Tuesday, April 1st and Wednesday, April 2nd. The Massachusetts floor map was brought to the Innovation Hub for grade 3 for students to explore Massachusetts, where they walked around and through our great state. Eversource came to present the topic of energy to our first grade STEAM classes last week, and grade 1 traveled to the planetarium in Plymouth. How exciting. We have registered over 130 kindergarten students already. This includes the incoming K students. We estimate that there will be about 180 kindergarten students. We will continue to update you, she says. Upcoming events, Breakfast with the Bunny is scheduled for Saturday, April 12th, $5 a person. ELA MCAS for grade 4 is next Tuesday and Wednesday. And the first annual Wes Spelling Bee will be held Thursday, May 29th for grades 3 and grade 4 students. Questions for Wes? I don't know if I can answer them, but.
I would just add that I've seen in a lot of her newsletters recently that she's stressing the amount of reading materials they have available to their students, encouraging them to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
So I know at
that's
some
great.
point there was some confusion about a library and no library, but there are plenty of books for
Oh,
students to
yeah.
read.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you. So on to Wareham, oh, I'm sorry, Jeff.
So I was seems like you can't open a newspaper or a magazine without something being related to education and, of course, the problems we're having as in public education. Well, something I recently read and was asserting, it was a generalization about the country as a whole, was that they're making some progress on ELA, but no one has figured out how to teach math. And yet, I distinctly remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, that in fact, we were making excellent progress at the elementary school on math.
Correct.
And am I correct in my memory that it was related to a new curriculum?
Well, I mean, I don't think you can necessarily call it
I'm
or
happy,
base
if
it
there are
on.
multiple variables, I'm happy, but
I do think it's multiple variables. We've started ST Math in Wes in the middle school, and I do think we
that's the
started.
same one that's in elementary?
Yes.
Okay.
And ST Math is not a curriculum, but it's a practice. It's practice on critical thinking. It's an online practice. And I think that is playing a huge role into a continuum of progress for our students. I also believe that our teachers at Wes are using supplemental material. So they're implementing a new curriculum. And what usually happens with a new curriculum is we see a little bit of a dip because teachers are learning the curriculum. We've had a lot of discussions at the middle school that it's not necessarily the curriculum we purchase, but it's how we're teaching the students that are in front of us. So that's what I would like to promote, and I'm assured that probably Dr. Chandler would promote that as well. It's not necessarily the curriculum we purchase. I think in education we have to stop saying we're going to purchase this curriculum and it's going to solve all our issues. That's not the case. We have to teach a certain set of standards, and how we teach those standards to the students that we currently have in front of us, which change every single year, is how we're going to make progress.
That's a very thoughtful response, thank you. So could you, for this non-educator, differentiate between a curriculum and you talked about it in terms of critical thinking. Can you give me an example of something that would not be related to the curriculum but would be related to critical thinking?
Well, I think we constantly are talking about what curriculums we have. What curriculums do you have in place? What, will we use Pearson, or we use whatever curriculum it is, right? There were years at the middle school, I remember just books of math just coming in and out, different sets of curriculum, and I'm like, what are we doing? That's not necessarily going to teach our children to learn math. It's who's standing in the front of them and how we're teaching math to the kids that are in front of us. So when I talk about curriculum, have we implemented a new curriculum? Maybe we've purchased a new series of resources, right? We've purchased Pearson or Houghton Mifflin or whatever we've purchased. But it's more than that. That's just a basis of what our teachers might be using. That's not teaching our children math, right?
So if I'm reading between the lines correctly, you're saying it's almost more important, the professional development of our teachers is more important than the curriculum.
100%. And how do we differentiate for the children that are in front of us? Because every year it changes. It changes what children we have in front of us.
I think I could go on, but I won't. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now you get to shift gears to yourself.
Wareham Middle School. We had many wonderful events in March. Our spring concert was held. It was very well attended. Our students displayed their progress throughout the year at those two presentations. The drama presentation of Moana Jr. was spectacular. Just a great job by the staff and the students. We had 3 college and career panels that our students were able to attend. One of my favorite things is to see students that are returning to us that were middle school, high school graduates that now have careers and are talking about those careers to the students in the audience. So that was an awesome experience again. MCAS started today for grade 5 and ELA. The chorus and the band are presenting at the Providence Bruins tomorrow night, so that will be an exciting night. And we're getting ready for our yearly and highly anticipated talent show on May 29th. Questions for Wareham Middle School?
Do you have attendance at all? The
Oh,
attendance?
I'm sorry,
That's okay.
yes.
It's just-
Our attendance was 94%
Thank you.
for March.
That's a good number.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Tracy. Scott?
Thank you.
All right, so our attendance for February was 93%. Our that was for students, our staff attendance was 95%. And March, as you all know, is a very long month, so there are a lot of school days. So it's good to have that attendance rate, obviously, as high as you can in a month that we had 21 days of school. It's really, obviously, we want to always be higher, but we're happy to be in the almost mid-90s. As Emma mentioned, spring sports are in their third week, and all the teams have now had at least one competition, games, meets, et cetera. A week from this past Sunday, as was mentioned, was the deck auction, and Emma talked about that. And from what I understand, they doubled their fundraising effort from last year, so it was was well received and well attended. So some school events. Joyce mentioned yesterday's unified track meet. That was unbelievable, and largest crowd I've seen ever at a unified track meet. So it was pretty exciting, and it wasn't very warm out. So I can only imagine those numbers are going to increase when it starts to get a little warmer. We also had MCAS this week for grade 8 ELA on Tuesday and Wednesday. We have a badminton championship that went on today during our advisory period. This is part of the badminton club. And we have some really exciting things going on with DECA. I'm really happy to report that our color guard has been asked to present the colors at the Boston Red Sox game on Tuesday, April 8th, next Tuesday. So that's going to be an awesome opportunity for our cadets to be involved, and hopefully some people from Wareham will be there or will be watching it on TV. They also have their awards on Thursday, April 10th, the JROTC Awards at 5:30. We have more MCAS coming up for 8th grade. They have 8 days of MCAS this year, so we start the more MCAS on the 29th and 30th for them. And DECA is having a community yard sale on May 3rd, and they're renting out spots in the parking lot if anyone is interested. And if you don't want a spot and you have things to donate, they will take those and they will add those to their yard sale. Some things that we're continuing to work on is just continuing to get in classrooms and conduct observations. We have 600 combined observations to date between department heads, principals, assistant principals. The ASCD has been in working with our co-teachers, and now they're working with our regular ed teachers. They have been in 3 times this year, with one more coming up on April 15th, and that has been really well received. We have finished our rounds of NUIA testing in English and math, and we have conducted 2 rounds of observations with our TNTP partners, and they are going to be coming back one more time this spring, and that's kind of a short version of everything going on at the high school.
Brennan?
I just had a quick question about the yard sale. You said they're renting out spots. Do you know how much it is for a spot?
Emma, do you know how much?
I believe it's 30 for a regular spot and 50 for a large spot.
Oh, wow, that's
Beautiful.
not bad at all.
I was in there today, but I didn't ask that question.
Other questions? Jeff?
So, and this is for both of you, have you noticed with all the publicity around MCAS, any change in the attitudes of students towards MCAS?
Yes.
Please elaborate.
So we had the 10th grade ELA tests last week, and I definitely noticed a different approach with some students, not all. I think that there wasn't as much time spent on them as previously with some students. It's a small group of students, but it's still a number of students that I feel just didn't feel the level of importance of that test as compared to previous years.
For us, it's business as usual. We've never had the stakes, so it's the same.
And I think 8th grade I mentioned we had this week, I think it's the same for the 8th graders as well. They were pretty programmed and focused, and we had a great 2 days with them. They took the full amount of time they needed. It was really great to see. But the 10th graders are pretty hip to the fact that it's not a graduation requirement.
Do you think that that's something that will, I think that because it's new and, you know, we just found out it's not a requirement anymore, do you think that this is kind of like a one-off thing and that we'll be able to rebuild students', you know, importance in it so that they do take the test, for lack of a better term, more seriously in the future? Or is this just a sign of decline that we don't know how to get back from?
Well, I think it was always a point of leverage for us. It was a selling point, like, you know, you got to go in and give it your all because we want this to be the one and only time you have to take this in your high school years.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's unique to Wareham either, talking to
No.
my colleagues. It's something that they're dealing with as well. Again, I don't want to make this thing bigger than it really needs to be. It's a small percentage of students. The majority of the students are focused. They want to go after the Abigail Adams Scholarship. So there's a percentage of kids that realize that they just have to take it and they're done with it. And whatever score they get, they get.
So even a relatively small percentage can have a pretty big impact on the overall results. So what you're saying is, and frankly, the Secretary of Education for the state of Massachusetts predicted this from his own son's attitude, that we're going to have to view 10th grade results with a grain of salt, so to speak.
Right, I think the level of comfort I have is it's not just a Wareham thing, it's going to be a state thing. So whatever that dip may be from that percentage of students that don't go in and take it seriously, it's going to be a state issue, not just a Wareham issue.
I completely agree, yes. Let me just throw something out at you, and you don't even need to respond tonight. NUIA has the advantage of the fact that it's both formative as well as, what's the other word?
Summative.
Summative, thank you. In a theoretical world, if we decided as a district to make the results of our NUIA a graduation requirement, how would you feel about that?
You said I didn't have to respond. It's Jamie's birthday now.
No. And you don't have to respond.
No, I can't keep my mouth quiet, come on. So, no, I think it's definitely something we'd have to explore. Where, I think if you said that to maybe another school in the district that's been doing it for a while, they may feel more confident answering that. We're kind of still in our infancy with that process. So I would certainly want to really get another year under our belt and really kind of evaluate the scores. And we're seeing some really nice results, and it's pretty cool because, and I'm sure Ms. Cote has seen it, you know, the teachers get motivated by it, the students get motivated. So it's kind of organically
Plus they
inspired.
get immediate results.
It's right, and instantaneous, which is important, whether it be, you know, feedback we're giving teachers or feedback students are getting, you want it to be given to them in a timely fashion. But, you know, I definitely think it's something we could look at, but I don't feel like I'm the expert in that right now, and really our second year of the rollout. But it's definitely, we're seeing some good alignment with the scores we've seen with MCAS, and we think we can forecast where the students will be at the end of the year.
Well, I appreciate your candor, and when I hear NUIA and MCAS and all the days lost from education to do this stuff, there's a part of me that says, can't we do this a more efficient way? And that's why I asked you the question, but I appreciate your candor at the moment. Thank you.
Joyce?
I just have a follow-up question to Jeff's. Have you, either of you, seen more parents requesting like that their student opt out of the test? Yeah,
Not yet.
Not at the moment.
We have, but it's not a high percentage, but it's more than we usually have.
Is it held against you like in absences, or
Yes.
is it?
We were supposed to have 95% of the grade level that's testing tests. So it gets tight because if you have some kids that are hospitalized and then you have some kids that opt out, it's going to be really tight for us with a couple grades. But it's something that we keep an eye on. But it has not been a huge issue, but it's been more than usual.
Okay, thank you.
I just have one more. What can we do to help you make it of more importance? How can we as the school committee help you to make this more important to the students or increase the you kind of get them to get the message that this isn't just a throwaway test, that this is, it might not be a graduation requirement, but there is an important reason to take it. What tools can we give you? How can we help?
Well, I think it's more something that the schools themselves have to kind of handle. We always appreciate the support, trust me, and I think this is one that we as principals probably have to take on. We've had pre-meetings, I think I speak for all the principals, we meet with the kids before the MCAS. We reiterate the importance of this, how they're being evaluated, the school's being evaluated, the district's being evaluated. Fortunately, in 10th grade, I still have a little leverage with the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship, so that pertains to a percentage of students. And, you know, then the teachers, obviously the content area teachers, stressing the importance of it. Hopefully, it's kind of that broken record theory where they hear it enough times and it sinks in. Honestly, I think this is one that we need to take on and continue to take on, but I know, speaking for all the principals, we always appreciate the support of the school committee. I wish there was something that I could say, if you did this, this is what we need. Unfortunately, in this case, that's not the situation.
Unfortunately.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll switch back now to the report from Woods Hole and Ms. Giafrida and the students that she brought with her.
Okay, I'll introduce it. Okay, hello. So we went to Woods Hole. I'm biased, but I think it was a pretty great trip. So Sam and Will and Lane are here, and I prepped them just by saying that you guys might have some questions, and you'd probably rather hear from them than hear from me. But we have a little slideshow.
Sure.
You guys got to see it
Yes.
ahead of time? Okay, great. Okay, well, hit it.
Oh, my notes are it.
Yeah.
So the author of that book was the guy who we did the labs with for the 3 days that we were there. And we did most of our work on microbes.
Was it just Wareham High or other schools?
There was one other school there, but we didn't do anything with them. They were in their own program.
Okay.
These pictures are they had the rare book library, and we went through a bunch of old books like the 1600s. In the middle here is an autograph from Charles Darwin that they had in one of the books, which is pretty cool. It's just our first day in the lab, we're putting our lab coats on, get ready to our first experiment. We went out and we collected samples from the beach. Some of us did water, sand, moss from a rock, and we took it back and we put it in a dish and we looked at the results on the microscope and we're looking for microorganisms. Do you guys want to do something?
So the main thing that we were doing was testing the bacteria in our tongues and in our mouths. So we swabbed our tongues and we made our own petri dishes. We made our own medium for them and we learned how to do that. And then that was the result of what was growing on our tongues.
Lovely.
I just, I want to throw in there, because I don't know if you guys realize this, but Dr. Chmielewski was anticipating that not everyone would want to sample their tongues, but he bought a lot of toothbrushes, and he was planning to pass out one to each lab group. But it turned out we were very proud of our germs, and every single student took a sample. And it's very interesting, because it all looks a little different.
They taught us how to use, there was 2 different microscopes in the labs at each of our benches, and then we went to a different building that had a bigger microscope, and they taught us how to use them. And there's one with a camera attached to an iPad, so you could see and take pictures that you could send to yourself of what you're looking at. This was the Marine Resources Center, and we toured what species they had in that building, and we got to hold some of the species living in their little tank, touch tank. He was the director of the MBO. He has a really big butterfly collection. I think he said like
He had over 100, it was 100,000, I think. Yeah.
100,000 butterflies in his collection. Like some are on site and some are stored in like a different facility. So we had a bunch laid out on a table and he walked us through all of them. And there was different butterflies from all over that he's collected and like bought. And then that's a picture of us at the end when we were leaving.
Yeah, that's it.
So how long did you actually spend there?
3 days.
3 days?
And how many of you were there?
16?
Like, I didn't want to count it, but
So there are 2 people missing from this picture.
Yeah,
but there
I
were
counted 15 heads, but I'm not sure whether everybody was there.
Yeah, 2 more.
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part was being in the lab. I just thought it was super cool. We got to just do things you would do like in a lab in college, kinda. And I liked growing, like seeing what was growing and looking at the microscope.
who had the germiest mouth?
I think I did.
Yours was,
Did you guys have like I mean, I can imagine being in high school, like you guys guessing who was going to have the dirtiest before you got there. So was your suspicion correct or no?
I figured it would have been me.
Is that the senior superlative now, like most germiest mouth next to most likely to succeed?
Joyce?
So before you went, did you know that this place existed so close to where we live? And isn't it amazing? So I just want to say thank you to Ms. Giafrida
Really
for
cool.
making this opportunity available to our students.
It was really cool. It meant a lot to me to be able to bring students to a place where I've learned so much, and for you guys to be able to experience it firsthand.
Well, without your connection, that wouldn't have happened, so thank you.
Thank you.
April?
So did being in the lab setting make any of you or any of the students who are upperclassmen rethink what you want to focus on when you go to college?
Didn't change anything for me. It was very cool and I had a great time, but it's just not, that's a lot of work that is way out of my realm of knowledge with what we were doing there.
I really loved it, and I never like worked in a lab or anything like that before, and I thought it was super cool. So I would love to work in a lab sometime, like do some sort of research. I thought it was awesome.
It would definitely be a cool minor in college.
Nice. Jeff?
So am I reading that correctly, that MBL has something to do with the University of Chicago?
Yeah, I think it's been 11 years now. They have a University of Chicago came in and they have a partnership.
A partnership?
Yeah, that's probably not technically the right word, but that's what it is. The Marine Biological Laboratory is still the MBL affiliation. That's the word I was trying to think of. But they have a strong affiliation with U Chicago. So Nipan Patel is from, I believe he is from University of Chicago.
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues. The MBL is an extraordinary asset that a lot of people don't know about. I'm lucky I have a friend who lives easy walking distance and has been associated with them at various times. So it didn't make any of you want to wear a lab coat for the rest of your life?
Maybe one.
Maybe one?
Maybe.
Yeah. It's a really cool experience, and thank you for getting it for them. I think it's great, and I'm sure you represented us very well.
They did. You can be very proud of them. They did a great job.
I just had one follow-up thing. I actually looked, when you guys were doing this, I kind of looked at their website, and I saw a lot of the other programs that they have for students. Based on your experience, would you recommend to, like, your younger classmen to take this trip? Would you like to see more trips like this? Like, I saw one that they work with Legos, and they like basically build submarines and things like that to kind of test them in small Lego form before they go out into the ocean with $1 million machines. And I'm just wondering, would you recommend to your classmates, like, hey, you guys really want to check this out? Would it be for everybody or just for people that were into science? Like, who would you recommend this experience to?
More specifically, people that are into science, but I feel like it's a good experience for everyone, really. Like, even if you're not particularly, like, that's what you want to do, science, in college, it's a good experience and you learn a lot. We all had to make presentations at the end of what we learned, and it was good, I think.
So what was the biggest thing you learned?
My specific interest was the butterflies, so I liked learning about the species and the different names, and some of them you turn their backs. I didn't know this. When you flip the butterfly, they look different on each side, and one of the butterflies, it looks like a dead leaf, kind of for camouflage. So that was my first one.
What about you?
My presentation at the end was about all of the microorganisms that we learned about and that we found through our works with the microscope, whether it was some of the bacteria on our tongues, the little bugs that we found in the samples that we got from outside, which I found a lot in the sample that I had, and I thought that was very cool.
And Lane, what about you?
We had tested ethanol, which is in most mouthwashes, and salt on the effect of good bacteria in our mouths to see what would happen. And so my presentation was about our results from that, and we found that mouthwash kills most of the bacteria. Most of them were dead by the end. And so I thought that was very interesting that a lot of the good bacteria in your mouth die when you use mouthwash.
Jeff?
Just a quick comment. You should feel really good about your immune system, that you can have a dirty mouth and be healthy.
Well, thank you guys very much. I'm glad you participated in this. And Ms. Giuffrida, once again, thank you for making this
Thank
opportunity
you.
available to our students.
Thank you. It was
Appreciate
fun.
it.
We had a good time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, guys.
All right, next we have the report of the superintendent.
Okay, the only thing I have are the bill and payroll warrants that I ask that you approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
That's all I have.
Well, that was the
Wow.
quickest superintendent's report in history.
Something up, man.
I think he was bribed by his
Yeah, I think so, too.
executive assistant.
Yeah, she put
Who
nothing on
types
his
that
agenda.
newsletter?
The warrants and bills went through Jamie 500. I'm sure you figured that out. All right, any school committee reports? April?
Just wanted to let the other committee members know, Monday night, Division 7, myself and the rest of the leadership from Division 7 for MASC hosted a Zoom roundtable that's available on the MASC website for anybody that wanted to look at that on engaging with the public. It was fairly well attended. We had our new field director from MASC involved with that as well, so it was recorded, and you can look at that on the MASC website.
Thank you. And I just wanted to remind members, I know I sent you an emails. I've been sending you some emails from MASC, which Association of School Committees, also NESDEC, which is the New England School Development Council, regarding potential search services, as next year we'll be beginning our search for a new superintendent for the 26-27 school year. So I'd ask you to read those materials. In an upcoming meeting, we will have to decide which service we want, if we want to go with the service, and if so, which one we want to go with, because we want to have that contractually. We need to decide that before the end of May and start the superintendent search the end of the summer, beginning of the fall of next year. So if you take a look at that, and that will be an upcoming agenda item.
Is there any reason to have, and I'm not sure how I would even answer this question, but is there any reason to have either one of them or both of them make a presentation? I don't know.
I don't know, possibly. I'd say let's all read through the materials first, and then decide if we have
If there's
further
any particular
questions.
questions,
They all
yeah.
did say they'd be glad to
come.
talk to us, yes.
Well, if they're glad to come, maybe it's worth it.
Okay. All right.
They'd be glad to come. Let's make them glad.
Joyce?
I just wanted to mention, as far as upcoming meetings, the May 15th meeting, which would be the meeting right after the election, I won't be able to be here. So I was hoping that we could maybe put off the reorganization till there's a full board, maybe at the next meeting, the May 29th meeting, so we could keep Kevin on.
There is a possibility. I may not. No, though I will be here for that. I was thinking wrong week. Okay. Yeah, that should
Is that, are we agreed? Sorry, Brennan, I know you were here for that.
Frankly, I don't care at all, but I'm wondering from a strictly legality perspective, would that really fall to the superintendent to run that meeting?
I don't think so.
I don't
I
know.
think
I don't know the
until we
answer to my own
elect-
question.
I think until we elect a new chair,
By default, he
No.
remains?
yeah, I believe so.
Well, typically, that first meeting after the election, the superintendent does kick it off until we reorg.
Right.
So they do run the
Right.
meeting.
But I don't
only-
believe that, yeah, I think that's a formality.
I think
That
if we
we-
vote on it, I don't think there would be an issue. I think if it's voted that we put it off because of not having the full
probably
board
good
present.
enough.
So the next meeting will be May 29th.
Right.
Okay.
It shouldn't really impact anything, I don't think, going forward, so I'm fine with that, if you guys are fine with that. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
And just one other thing, so this presentation tonight was so great. And on the theme of resources that are around us that, you know, we take advantage of is the Buzzards Bay Coalition. So I know we had talked about it a while ago.
Oh, but maybe you haven't,
Yeah, because, you know, the middle school and the high school, I believe, both work really closely, and the programs, the things that they do are amazing. So I'd love to have them come in together and do that. I'm sure they'd be happy to. Maybe we could contact Mr. Palladino and Ms. Cote.
I think Buzzards Bay Coalition would come in.
Yeah, oh, all
Yeah,
of them, yeah. Yeah.
They're excited about that.
I would really
so.
love to hear more about it and, you know, see what.
Well, like I said, I looked at I looked at the stuff they were doing down at Woods Hole, and I mean, I wish they had that when I was in school. That's
Yeah, we're so
cool.
lucky that,
Looks so much fun.
yeah, yeah.
okay,
So if we could look into that.
all right.
Not on May 15th, though. Please.
Jeff?
So I have a general question for the superintendent. I can't remember this much fiscal, even monetary uncertainty that's rippling through the country, even the world. Is there anything that you're aware of that could potentially directly impact the Wareham School District?
No, I mean, there is so much information, misinformation out there, speculation that people take as truth. So the answer that what I've been told is everything we can expect the grants as they have been in the past, as far as I know. And as soon as I hear otherwise, I'll let all of you know. But
So we should budget accordingly, in other words.
budget accordingly, everything's status quo. I have not heard anything to the contrary at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as recently as today, there was talk about things that could impact Title I, which
Would be very impactful.
it would be huge, yes. But I think they're asking the state to do something on behalf of every school district within the state. So I don't think it's going to be an impact. You're not going to be asked to do anything, and we aren't going to be asked to do anything, and I suspect that Governor Healy is well prepared.
Well, the state isn't going to have the resources to replace that.
We,
I know, okay.
Yeah.
We'll be here all night if that was a discussion.
yeah, exactly. Okay, just checking, thank you.
So, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, 500. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.